Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Tanzania, where for millions of people, rice is everything. It's not just food, it's a way of life. But there's a problem. Farmers have kind of hit a wall. Yields just aren't growing, climate change is throwing new curveballs all the time, and frankly, it's become a huge puzzle for everyone involved.
And that brings us to the absolute core of our story today, a question that seems to break one of the most basic rules of farming. You know, we've always been told, more fertilizer equals more crops, right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if adding more of a good thing could actually lead to, well, a whole lot less?
So, our investigation kicks off in the lower Mashi region of Tanzania. Think of this as a detective story. The local rice farmers are in a tough spot, dealing with soil that's getting tired out and a climate that's becoming more and more unpredictable. And the main suspect in this whole mystery? It's the very thing that was supposed to be the solution: fertilizer.
Now, to crack a case like this, you can't just stay in a lab. The researchers knew the first thing they had to do was get on the ground and see the world through the farmer's eyes. What are they actually doing every day? Why are they making the choices they're making?
And when you look into what drives their decisions, a really clear picture emerges. A huge chunk, 41%, comes from their own personal experience, what's worked for them year after year. Another 36% comes from official advice, so this tells you they're not just winging it, they're using the best information they have available.
And right here, this is where we get to the heart of the paradox. See, it's not an awareness problem. A massive 85% of farmers know all about fertilizers. The real issue is precision. Only about 38% are using the correct dosage. And that reveals this giant gap between knowing a tool exists and knowing exactly how to use it for the best results.
And let's be clear, this isn't because of carelessness. These farmers are up against some very real-world hurdles. For 41%, it's a lack of specific, tailored knowledge. For many others, it's just logistics. Maybe the right fertilizer shows up too late in the season, or the cost is just too high to buy the amount they truly need. These are system-wide problems, not just individual choices.
All right, so with that human element clearly understood, the investigation shifted gears. It was time for a field experiment. The mission was simple, really. Find the Goldilocks formula. You know, the blend that's not too much, not too little, but just right for the rice in this specific environment.
So the team set up plots and tested 14 different nutrient cocktails on a popular local rice variety. The whole idea was to figure out what the plant really wants at each stage of its life, because it's not just about growing big, bushy green plants. It's about giving the plant the right signals to stop growing leaves and start producing a ton of heavy, valuable grains.
And this is where the story takes a truly dramatic turn. Because when the results from the experiment started coming in, they revealed something that was totally unexpected. It was completely counterintuitive, and it had some absolutely massive implications. Okay, just look at these numbers. The Just Right mix produced a fantastic 6.5 tons of rice per hectare. Amazing. But the plots with a little too much nitrogen, the yield didn't just dip, it absolutely plummeted all the way down to 1.4 tons. This is what scientists call a catastrophic yield collapse.
So, what on earth happened? Well, in simple terms, the excess nitrogen basically tricked the plant. As the study puts it, you get this vigorous vegetative biomass, which is just a sciencey way of saying you get big, beautiful, lush green leaves. But the plant fails to make that crucial switch to reproduction, so it grows tall and looks super healthy, but it produces almost no actual rice. For a farmer, that's not just a disappointment, it's a complete economic disaster.
But here's the beautiful part. This shocking discovery wasn't just a warning. It was also the solution. It pointed everyone directly to a sweet spot where the plant science and the farmer's economics lined up perfectly. It turns out what was best for the rice plant was also what was best for the farmer's wallet.
And the proof is in the numbers. The best treatment didn't just grow the most rice, it generated a net profit of over 3 million Tanzanian shillings per hectare. I mean, that is a life-changing amount of money. This isn't some abstract finding in a journal, it's a tangible, real-world path to a better life for these communities.
So the single biggest idea to come out of this whole investigation is something called Integrated Nutrient Management, or INM. And what's so powerful about it is that it moves us past that old, tired, organic versus chemical fight. INM is a smarter, hybrid approach. It's about combining the targeted power of chemical fertilizers with the long-term, soil-building benefits of nature-based solutions.
And this part is absolutely key. Things like compost and manure aren't there to replace the chemical stuff. Think of them as catalysts. They make the soil healthier, they improve its structure, they help it hold on to water, which is huge for climate resilience, and by doing all that, they actually make the chemical fertilizers you add work way more efficiently. It's a win-win.
So what's the big takeaway here? We've solved the rice paddy paradox, but the answer isn't just a fix for one corner of Tanzania. It's a powerful new blueprint for how we can approach farming in the 21st century all over the world.
The study gives us a super clear 3-step action plan. First, stop giving one-size-fits-all advice and start creating nutrient plans that are tailored to the specific soil. Second, double down on farmer education, showing them how to blend these organic and chemical inputs. And third, fix the supply chains so farmers can actually get the right stuff at the right time.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. We've just seen how a more precise, integrated approach can lead to huge gains in yield and profit, while also making farms more resilient. So the question is, can this smarter, not harder model, a lesson learned from a paradox in a Tanzanian rice field, become the new blueprint for how we feed a growing planet?